do the countdown this time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit. You believe it's actually episode number 5? It's like half to 10. Like,
all right,
crazy. We appreciate you guys coming back here. Well, hopefully, people coming back. If you guys just found us, check it out. This is the 5th episode, so feel free to look at the catalog. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started.
all right.
Wait, before we go to the list, why don't we go ahead and go into the service thing, since we were already discussing it anyway.
Okay. So, what we were talking about earlier is just the different levels of service in different establishments, you know. We initially, we had 2 stories at fast food restaurants, but it's more than just fast food. I mean, it's in department stores, this is at service shops, there's the people pick up on phones, you know, telemarketers or answering services and so on and so forth. Let me ask you this, buddy. How do you feel about the state of services offered and rendered to the public?
Oh, man.
That pause.
That's a tough question, man. You know, I think of 2 things when I think of service. I think of something that my grandmother told me when I was young about when you spending money with an establishment, you know, you want to make sure they're treating you well. Like, don't give money to somebody who isn't treating you well as a customer. All right, and then also I think about Eric Thomas. Always talks about being a brand. You should be the brand. Like, I understand that people may not have a personal vested interest in the company. Like, if you work for Steak and Shake, you don't own Steak and Shake. I mean, unless you just decide to get stock or whatever. You don't really own Steak and Shake. You don't own an interest in it. But I believe that you should represent that as if you are the owner of Steak and Shake. So you want to make sure you get 100% when giving service, you know. And I do not feel that anybody takes that attitude when it comes to service. And it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, service is a lot of industry deals with service. You want to go buy something, hey, we need a new refrigerator. All right, we got to go to Home Depot or we got to go to Best Buy. You're going to have to interact with people. You know, hey, I don't feel like cooking today. I want some food. Let's go to Chipotle. You're going to have to interact with people. Service is all around you. A lot of people work in the service industry, and if you don't, you're going to be getting a service. So one way or the other, it is there. You're going to be interacting in some form or fashion. And I just don't feel like people are really holding up their end of the bargain. We basically trading goods for services. I'm gonna give you this money, and you're gonna give me whatever it is I came for. But you do it well. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you wanted to buy a coffee pot. Thank you. If you wanted to buy a coffee pot, right? There are several different places you can buy a coffee pot.
Right.
So, what determines where you're going to go? It could be the branding of the place, you know, how the environment looks when you walk up in there, how the store presents itself. And I would say that's 50% of it. The other 50% is going to be how you interact with the service. You know, there are certain places, like I don't go to Walmart. I don't care for the clientele, but besides that, the people that work there, you know what I mean? Right. Like, and you smile because you obviously know what I'm saying. Like,
why would you have a website called the people of Walmart? Right? I mean, it's pretty much what WorldStar for Walmart. That says something about the brand.
Yes, that is not the look you want for your brand. You know, so yeah, I mean.
So how would you go about, you know, moving forward with it and actually changing the service rendered, right? What would be some things that could move it in the right direction?
Culture. Culture is very important. Culture is like the way people conduct themselves, the way they interact with each other. Like not even the customer, just Bob and Susie both work there. How do they interact with each other? Is their manager sort of really kind of shitting on his people? You know what I mean? Like we've all had bosses, toxic leadership. We've all had bosses that don't treat their people well, you know, and people tend to follow their leaders. So if you got a leader who shits on his people, guess what? Those people are going to shit on the customer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you got a leader who always trying to be helpful, always trying to put forth the right foot, that's how his people are going to deal with the customer. It's basically people follow the leader. So you need to change the culture of how people interact, how they're going to be dealing with each other. You probably want leadership training. You know, I think with just those two things, you can make a really big difference. And also, payment probably is in there somewhere. You know, like if you don't pay people anything, they probably don't value the job.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. If you only paying me minimum wage, guess what? There's a lot of minimum wage jobs out there, and I'm quick to tell you to go fuck yourself if you piss me off.
Right. It's a lot of high turnaround in a lot of different locations.
Yes.
Because, like you said, the culture, people don't want to be there. It's like, oh man, I go in here and you feel a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm.
I can go do this somewhere else. Actually, I saw this video on someone was sharing this on YouTube. Some guy, he worked at a auto shop, right? You know, maybe he was doing the repairs or whatever it was, but he had on the uniform.
Okay.
And he walks inside of another dealership. And this is another patron recording this whole interaction, right? His employer, the dude was supposed to be on break, right? He walked over there and was like, look, you supposed to be on lunch, you supposed to be on your lunch break, and you over here filling out the application because the dude was asking for an application. You ain't shit. You worthless. Da 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 da. You're fired. Don't even come back. Right? Inside of another place is not your thing. So when you said that, what was that guy dealing with every day? You think you'll get the most out of that person treating them like that? Yeah. If you did this during his break at another location in front of other people, what do you think you're going to get out of that person? You're not going to get the most and maximum out of that person.
Yeah, I most definitely agree. I mean, first off, he felt comfortable talking to that guy like that, which means this obviously isn't the first time he spoke to him like that. Secondly, the guy was on his break. He had the right to do whatever he wanted to. It was his time.
He could have not came back if he wanted to, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, that wasn't the right move. And then third, whatever car dealership that they worked for, now you didn't put a stain on their brand because now somebody got you on video and they see, oh, this is how you treat your people. So now certain people might not want to come work for you, and then other customers might not want to do business with you because they see how you treat people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He came in there and just did a lot of damage to the whole brand just off that one incident. You know, that ain't cool, man. And then I don't care. You treat people with a certain amount of respect. Even if I don't like a guy, I treat him with a certain amount of respect. You know, you don't treat people like that. Like I would rule, you respect the person until they treat you disrespectfully. Then, you know, that's pretty much open season. That's fair game. But I was always taught you treat people how you want to be treated. Even if I'm in a position where I had to let a person go, you do it respectfully. You know what I mean? And you definitely don't do it in a situation like that. You wasn't even on the grounds.
Right.
And you fire somebody. And you making a huge scene. People are like, man, that guy's an asshole. Right. Yeah, and you following me on my time. So that's like harassment.
I mean, it's But like you said, it says a lot.
It says a lot.
And it's just like, wow.
Says a lot. So, being what I was saying about be the brand, in a way, you know what? In a way, you are always the brand. Because when I say be the brand, I'm thinking, all right, you do everything to the max. You try to make sure everything is done well and correctly so people will come back. But, as in this case, whatever you do in a negative fashion will reflect negatively on the brand. And you know what that old saying is, it takes years to build a reputation, takes 2 seconds to destroy it. So yeah, I definitely, you know, and there's been so many, I mean, that's like, in some way, maybe an extreme case, but it's been other cases. Mm-hmm. Like, I've gone to get, like, maybe I went through a drive-thru and got fast food, and let's say, like, this cup here. I had a lady give me the drink, all right, and she put the top on it. Matter of fact, no, I remember, actually, it was, like, 2 weeks ago at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
She put the top on the drink, but she had overfilled the drink. So when she put the top on it, soda and stuff came through the top. Right. Then she gives me, all right, here. Right. So now I got soda and stuff going all down the side. I got stuff overflowing at the top. So I got to go to the side and try to attempt to clean this up. And I'm like, there is no way you should be giving a customer something like that.
You knew it was wrong when you did it.
You knew it was wrong when you did it. And you're not going to take the time to clean it off before you give it to me? I gave you money. I didn't give you money that had, like, a ketchup stain or a Miracle Whip, which is like here, and it's all on your fingers. Yeah, you deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, but this is the product you give me. So, when I go to Chick-fil-A, the next time I see a Chick-fil-A, what's the first thought that comes to my mind? When she gave me that shitty cup. You know, and there are instances that happen all the time. Like, there's a McDonald's. I laugh. At first it used to make me upset, but now I just laugh. I go there sometimes to get breakfast and everything. You know, you pay at one window, and you go there to pay, and you pull up, and the lady just extends her hand. She doesn't say anything. So I look at the lady, I look at her hand, and I look back at the lady. You gonna pay? Sure. How much would you like me to pay? $13. All right. Here you go. And I'm like, man, how do you... I don't understand, one, that's really rude, but two, you don't say good morning. First, you greet the customer. I'm pretty sure that's standard for anywhere you greet the customer.
As a human being.
As a human being. Right. You don't...
Get a person to greet them.
Nothing, no greeting. Yeah. Two, you don't want to ask, hey, your total is such and such, such and such. You know, she don't do that. All right, fine. Pay her. I go around the second window. That's where you get your food. I get to the second window. This is the part I laugh about because it's always the same girl. I pull up there. She opens the window. Extends the drink, right? So I take the drink. Close the window. Not, I'll be back in a second, I gotta prepare your food, none of that. Just close the window. Opens the windows back, extends out the food, alright? Take the food, close the window again. So I drive off, you know? And then now, I think somebody must have said something to her about it because now when she does it, she says, have a nice day. And then closes the window. But I'm just like, first off, that's not how you interact with people. Secondly, just basic manners. And that just tells me, like, if I train you to say, all right, you're supposed to tell them have a nice day or whatever, really you saying have a nice day doesn't convey what I want you to convey.
Right.
You know, I could say, hey, man, why don't you go in there and get that money off the shelf? Now, how the words is one thing, but you know, 90% of human communication is nonverbal. So, how you say it, the tone and how you say it, how dry it is, all that is saying a message. It don't
Subtext,
really even
everything.
matter. Yeah,
Right.
subtext. It don't really even matter what your words was. All I heard was, man, get the fuck out of here. You know?
Hurry up! I got no more people to do
Yeah.
that, and I don't want to do that either.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I understand maybe you don't care for your job. I understand. Or maybe you got things going on in life. I understand that too. We all been there. But you still got to do the job. And if you're going to do the job, then you might as well do it well. I told a guy this yesterday. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I strive for excellence in everything I do. That don't mean I always hit it.
Right.
That don't mean I always achieve it.
But you give
But
it your best.
I give it my best.
And guess what? Sometimes your best is not. If somebody's better, they can best you, and it's sometimes like your good enough is good enough.
Yeah. I mean, if you striving for an A every time, when you have an off day and get a B, guess what? That still ain't too bad.
Right.
That's better than the guy that's giving you that D and C effort every day. So yeah, just services, and that's a problem I really don't know how to fix. I really don't know how to fix, because if you give people the training, and even if you got a good leader, like the girl at McDonald's, if they don't give a fuck, what can you really do about that?
See, and here's the part that I don't get, because I'm not adept on the termination laws or what you can and you can't do inside of the workplace and whatnot.
Mhm.
But I'm with you. I mean, when I think of culture, I think of the processes, the way that you do things, right? Because anybody could sell a beverage. Anybody could sell a menu of items, right? Your menu might be a little bit different than the next place, but there's another storefront that sells a similar product, right?
Right.
And the only thing differentiates you from being a commodity, right, is what you do. Like, people talk a lot about Chick-fil-A. I really don't. I know some of y'all might like it. I mean, it's a good chicken sandwich, but it's just like, it's a chicken shop. And it's nothing against them. I mean, it's just like, now what some people like, when you think about they bring the food over to you at the table. Well, for me, when I use it, it's a fast food restaurant. I'm getting it as I move to another location. So I'm not really sitting down there. I'm not looking for the dining experience. So I don't even see that part. My pleasure, right? The friendliness. But as you said, that's how I look at it. It's not this bad, and I appreciate it because I say thank you, please, and enjoy your weekend, and I'm the customer, right?
Right.
Now, when people say that, like you say, it's just rote memorization, right? Like, all right, it's your responsibility. That's cool. You creating a culture. Now, it is a little bit different than have a nice day, right?
Right.
So I think that that being able to distinguish yourself from the next store, because there's somebody with your product.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody that can service your customer a little bit better, right? So your customer, Apple, a great example, right? The Apple computer and a PC, a Dell or whatever, right? They pretty much they connect to the internet. You can write your reports on there. You can do your schoolwork. But when you go inside of a Apple store, right? You know you're gonna pay pretty much twice what you're gonna pay at another place, right? For the similar technology.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go inside that store, they give the person that just pitching the product to you will show you how it works, right? Or what is it that you're trying to do with the computer? Okay, or you trying to do this? Well, these are the type of programs you want to look at. All right, and this is how you open this up. This is how you use it. A little quick, little hands-on tutorial. Now, it's not to say they don't do this at Dell. I don't know. What I'm getting at is people know that for a fact, right? That's their culture.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the brand. Most people in the world know what Apple is, right? So I'm with you. I'm pretty sure there's some times, and if we did a YouTube search, we could find some poor examples.
Right.
Yeah. People gonna write stuff on Yelp and all these other places. So It's not to say it's not gonna happen, but for the most part, like you said, the culture, they sit people down. Hey, this is what is expected of you, right? This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to deliver. Those most of those people working inside, most of those employees might not have stock, but like you said, they invest in it. Hey, I like the way these computers work. I want to learn more about this computer. I want to help more people become Apple users or whatever they think thought process is. That makes somebody a better servicer, a better worker, a better team member than the person who's just, look, I filled out an application, they called me back, they needed bodies.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that's the reason why they can't dismiss these people. Maybe it is
We need
laws or whatnot, right? So, hey, I get it. You can, if you're the owner of the facility, you can't work the register, be behind in the production area. You can't work the floor as well as make sure the numbers are right, do the mark. It's a lot. So, but why is it hard to get people on your team to do that? I've heard people say, hey, hire slow, fire fast, right? Going through 2-3 interviews, intern or intern policy or procedure or whatnot. I mean, it's a bunch of different ways, like you said, and service definitely needs overhaul. We need to come back and discuss that another day after we think about it a little bit more. So now we talked about that. Let's go into the first question, which is,
okay,
what are your hard negatives or like things that are totally off limits and no goes? This is a great example. Like the service. It could be like that gentleman that walked inside the dealership to fire the other guy, right? You said that he probably did that before. And as a man, I'm thinking like, look, the first time, I'm going to check you. Like, look, all right, you don't appreciate the way I did this? Not a problem. Show me how to do it. But hey, I'm a man just like you, and this is how we're gonna square this away right now.
Disrespect. It's such a commonly used term. I don't always agree with how to use it.
So how would you define it?
I would define disrespect as a person being purposely disrespectful towards you. So by that I mean a person who is actively trying to maybe discredit you or trying to make you look bad in some form or fashion. That's trying to break it down to the like most simplest aspect. Because you can be talking to a person and people get insecure and you might say something and a person maybe used a word they didn't understand, and they're like, "Oh, you trying to talk to me like I'm dumb? You disrespecting me?" And it's like that's not always the case,
right?
But as it sounds like the incident with the two mechanics, that was most definitely disrespectful. Because even if you're gonna fire a guy, you don't do it in that fashion. People are people. We are all humans, and we all deserve a certain amount of basic respect, you know. And I just feel like when you are not giving me that, I'm taking that as disrespectful, because you're some people egos become involved, and some people like to talk to people. You got a lower rank than I do, or I make more money than you do. You know, people like to make themselves feel better in various different ways, and like, oh, if you're not on the same level I am, you're beneath me, so that makes you a piece of shit, and I can talk to you or interact with you as I see fit. Or another thing, in like cases of service, if I'm providing a service and you got a customer, certain customers feel like, oh, well, you ain't nothing because I'm the customer and I can treat you and talk to you any kind of way I want to.
That's not the case.
That's not the case. And I feel like, you know, in cases like that, companies should support their employees. If a customer is just rudely talking to a person, you ain't shit, you work at Chick-fil-A and this, that, whatever, you be like, excuse me, ma'am, no, we don't allow that, and you can leave the premises. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how you should do. You should protect your own. But anyway, yeah, the disrespect, basically. You know, that's the thing. I'm not really I'm not with that. Like I don't disrespect you, so why should I allow you to disrespect me? You know, that would be on the list. Um, I'm not big on negativity. I understand people are negative, and I understand that everybody have a bad day. However, some people are a bit more negative in general. There's no reason for me to really interact with you or socialize with you unless I have to. On cases where I have to interact with you, I will. But other than that, I'm just gonna let you go over there, and I'm gonna be over here because that's not really my energy. I don't want you to change my vibe, you know. Um, Besides that, I don't know off the top of my head. You know, I mean, maybe there are certain moral uh, discrepancies. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I feel one way about one issue, and you feel another way about an issue. But I'm pretty flexible overall. But I know, like politics, if such and such is a Democrat and if such and such is a Republican, oh, no, I just can't mess with you. Or like I hear this a lot. Well, I don't go to this restaurant because that guy is a such and such supporter. I don't. I try not to break my lines down as simple as that. You know, like yeah, if one guy is like, I believe that all black people should just be killed on the spot. Yeah, I'm not supporting you at all, but I also believe people got a right to their opinion. Like I'm pretty flexible for the most part. It just seems like maybe negativity and disrespectfulness might closely be it. You know.
So let me ask you another question.
Mm-hmm.
You said disrespect is a boundary for you, right?
Right.
And you said you want to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
You ever heard the platinum rule before? About
No.
treat other people how they want to be treated?
No, I never heard that before.
Well, this is why I bring that up because what if? Because there are people. Would you agree that there's people out there that maybe they don't like, hey, treat me like shit, but like you said, the negativity they always expecting to get shitted on. They always feel, and it's not that you're gonna purposely go over there and do that, but you probably met some of those people like this person's out to get me or this group of people's out to get me,
like
and
that.
every time you go inside of a store or something like that. The mannerisms change, the way they interact, it invites that to come along, right?
True.
You was talking about this situation at the store, right? With the service. Oh,
yeah. The guy.
And like you said, I would be like, sir, don't put your hand over the glass. Like that would be one of my things. Like, man, that's nasty, and just like, yo, I don't know what's so. Maybe you just got finished picking a booger or something. Who knows? And it's like, but he probably wouldn't like that, but. I guess what I'm getting at is, what about those people who, that's their expectation? You know, that's what they inclined to do, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're inclined to get people to treat them like that. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a disagreement or argument with somebody that's like, it's not so much that they're wrong. It's like, all right, we're gonna agree to disagree, and they just keep going on. It's like,
oh yeah,
all right, look, stop, man. I told you we done with this conversation.
Yeah,
and you gotta assert yourself. So
yeah,
in those type of situations,
I would just separate myself.
Have they ever followed you?
Yes, they will follow you. Man, yeah, people will follow. It's like they must feel like they crushed you, and you must acknowledge the defeat.
The mechanics.
But it's just like, yeah, no. There are discussions and arguments, and then sometimes you just realize, like, look, we are not going to agree. Let's just agree to disagree. And they're not trying to hear that. But yeah, I just try to separate it. I just try to separate myself from them, because if two people are talking and we're having a conversation, and then you reach the conclusion there's nothing that's going to change for either of us, there's no point in this conversation any longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
So yeah. So why let that take a negative drain on me? Like you talk about people who might have a certain attitude, like, oh, they're gonna screw us over, or these people they racist or this and that. And I try not to take somebody else's word as my Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if well, yeah, I dealt with them before. Like I had a case, my wife. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but it was something that she was like, "Well, I knew this was gonna be like this already, and I tried to tell you." And I was trying to explain to her that I understand that's what you said. However, I have to try it for myself and then make my own decision on that. And then she didn't quite understand that. She was like, "You should have just accepted what I said." And I'm like, "No, I can't. You cannot let somebody else think for you. And in certain cases, you have to. Like, if there's
come on, baby, let's go.
Yeah,
right, you just
yeah. Like if there's a matter of survival or something, hey man, they coming. You of course.
Yeah,
there's no time for all that. You know, or if you stand around and a bunch of people come running, and they looking back scared, of course you take off running. Right. Yeah. So, you know, or if you need to know certain maybe certain views on different things, something like that, and you try to research it, but again, you still kind of basing what you think and how you feel off other people's opinions.
You have to discern yourself.
Right, but you gotta try to map things out for yourself. You cannot just take somebody else's opinion of that. You know, I think that that's something you have to get to the level to really understand. Because I think we all at one point, it probably just comes from having parents. You get told something, you take it, okay, and that's it. You know, you mess with them people, they bad, okay, and you just accept it. So even when you're an adult, you'll tend to do that some way, and then you gotta kind of grow your level a little bit to understand that. All right, I hear you, and I acknowledge that's what you said, but I have to form my own opinion. I can't just take your word for it. Like I have friends that really fucking brilliant people. They're very smart, very intelligent people. However, I used to take a lot of what they said and just say, okay, yeah, I'll if that's what they said, then that's what it is. Because they were really smart. They were definitely smarter than me. But as I started to just listen to them and understand certain things, I realized that their opinions, a lot of the opinions they had that they believed, was based on other people's and then other people's biases. So it's like saying, hey, Jeffrey, look, don't eat a Steak and Shake because they do such and such to their food. And then you just say, okay. But you got it from me, right? I got it from Tom, who got it from Joe, who just had his mom just had a bad experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like saying, it's coming down the line, and you just take it, oh, I'm taking my word, you know, I know him, he cool. He wouldn't say that if it wasn't true, and I just take it as, you know, as word. And it's like, yeah, I've learned you cannot really do that, except for, like I said, in certain circumstances, but I like to form my own opinions. I like to have my own, like, just thoughts on stuff. I don't want to just take something and not question it. I believe, like, you should get to a point where you question things. You shouldn't just take it as being spoon-fed, you know.
I agree with you 100% on that. You know, one of my instructors, one of his mantras was question everything. And, like, as soon as he said it, it was like, man.
Agreed.
Like, hold up. That's something worth lodging inside this thing. Now, there's times, like you said, where it's like, all right, if I have a teacher teaching me about quantum physics or trigonometry, well, you gotta subtract the 3 and then add the remainder and then divide it by this. All right, I'll ask why to get that first level deep. Well, it's because this is how you work this type of problems.
Right.
But I mean, with that, I'm not going to exert myself mentally on that stuff beyond that. Whereas there's other things, like you said, the choices places where you do business, right? The experiences that you get to have. it could have been different. It could have been that one person having a bad day. It could have been that guy that followed him out, and the boss heard about that. I saw this video. I was like, "You're not fired. You're fired. Come on back. We need you, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he had a bad day, just had that bad taste in his mouth. Or we all wake up on the wrong side of the bed. We all have off days. So I'm with you like that. Being able to think for yourself, being able to question everything. I think another reason why a lot of us just take the messages passed on, one, that fake news, right? Like stuff like the BuzzFeeds, and when you see these different whatever post or this major news conglomerate, it say, well, this is what happened. Well, what is the writer's views, right? Because a writer, as well as the editor, as well as the staff, could shape the orientation of the message. I think it's part of that. And it's not just news. It's like when we talked about the stuff that we taking in. So another thing I think it is look at our culture. We can Google anything, right? Mm-hmm. How many people go past the first, second, or third page Google? Are you really going to go to and come back with 1 million hits? Are you going to go to page 27?
You know, there's somebody like, there's more than one page? Like, oh, yeah. You know what? I think it just makes everything easier. Like, it makes it easier. If I need an answer and this person gives me an answer, I got my answer. It makes it so much easier. And you don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to do any research. You don't have to look into it. You don't even have to give the basic 5-minute thought on the subject. Hey, I need an answer. He said this. All right, it's that. I'm rolling with it. And it just makes it easier for people. And to be honest, that's kind of our culture in the U.S., unfortunately. Yeah.
Popcorn generation.
Yeah, it's a lot of sheep. It's a lot of sheep. Even those who don't feel they're sheep are probably sheep on some level.
All right.
Consumerism, all-time high. You know, I was talking to my wife today. I asked her a question. I said, I was like, I try to be grateful for everything that I have. And I try to look at my home as a blessing. But I was like, I watch, different home shows, or I might have a magazine with different houses. And I'm like, I still, when I see it, I'm like, yeah, it's nice, but that $500,000 house look beautiful. And I'm like, can you really be satisfied? Because I'm like, if I get that $500,000 house, I'm probably gonna be happy.
It's a $500,000 when I get the full meal.
Yeah, and then you're gonna be like, yeah, but that $200 million house, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's never enough. And I'm just like, I think that's just, unfortunately, it's just embedded in our culture. Jack, if you look at where me and you are right now, and if our grandmother and grandfather were our age, and they looked at what we have in life right now, they would think you guys are just
spoiled.
Y'all got it all. Like, you'd be like, wait, what? Are y'all rich? Like, no, we not rich. Y'all look like y'all rich. Y'all living it up. And it's like, it's almost like, because you're always thinking bigger, better, more, you never truly satisfied in a certain sense, And I'm just like, man, I mean, it's that probably is what leads to that whole thing about looking rich as opposed to building wealth. If you live a little bit below your means and you can live in a comfortable home, you have refrigerator, oven, stove, laundry, whatever you need. All right, you got all your basic amenities. And you can even be like, man, you know what? I want a nice 50-inch screen TV. A nice 50-inch screen TV. And you get a car. You don't get nothing super fancy. You don't get a Mercedes or, BMW. But you get you a nice little, like, Nissan or whatever, And you can live great and live below your means and put money away in the savings and invest and whatever. And in the end, financially, you will be doing much better than the person who lived out to the max and they had the BMW and a super big house, because a lot of times that person's living paycheck to paycheck, you know, and then you was living comfortably within your means, and yeah, all right, maybe you didn't always have the latest toys, but you were all the while putting money aside.
Right.
You know, now which one of those people is in a better position? This one looks like he's in a better position. But if something happens, you get fired, the market goes down, or as I'm seeing people go through now in my job, retirement time. Which one of those people in a better? Which position would you rather be in?
Of course, under the means, living under my means.
So it's you know, but again, that person a lot of times just following what you've been told, whatever you're getting fed, and you're not really thinking for yourself. But if you ask him, oh yeah, I'm thinking for myself. But a lot of times he's not really thinking for himself. Like PJ, I remember I know this guy named PJ, and he would be like, we'd be talking about stuff, and one of the things he would always say to me was, "Man, don't nobody do that. Don't nobody do that. You going over there? Don't nobody do that. You wearing this shirt? Man, don't nobody wear that shirt." Who are you referring to? Don't nobody. I'm me, you're you, he's him, she's her. Like, why do you feel the need to blend into the pack? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little out there, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. I think I kind of went way outside of what you originally asked me.
No, it's all good because I get what you're saying. Like, it's about what I got from that. It's not only the whole message, you reiterated it, you said it at the end as well. People gonna have different things. That person that is living from paycheck to paycheck as opposed to that person who's living under their means, that's their desires. I'm pretty sure that person could take on, the one that's living under his means could take on a couple different, maybe he might find something that's, oh yeah, I want to get this, right? And it could overextend. It could happen to anybody. Just like maybe something might happen to that person like, man, I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I need to change this up. But until it happens or is appropriate for that person, it's non-existent. We all live in that virtual reality, right?
Yeah.
Only what you believe is so is what's so. Until something else is uncovered or discovered, right? I'm with you.
The Matrix is real. Not in the sense of the science fiction movie. We're not all off in, you know, in pods somewhere and we're in virtual reality. I don't mean it like that. But I mean just the fact of there's a lot going on and you're unaware of it. That's what I mean when I say the Matrix is real. Like the rat race, that's true. You know, like people are constantly consuming, constantly trying to get ahead, but there's really no end. Alright, there is probably one, I don't have Forbes magazine in front of me, I don't know who it is, but there's one guy in America who is the richest of all people. Alright? I can tell you last time I looked, Warren Buffett, I think, was third. Alright? So, those are guys who have not millions, billions. Some even probably trillions of dollars. That's so much money I can't even fathom how much money that is. Alright? We not catching that guy. We not. So, who are we racing? To beat the guy across the street? To beat people in your circle?
Who's all playing a different game?
Who all playing? Yeah, it's just...
Maybe they got the same pit stops or milestones, but it's a different game.
It's almost like each person is trying to beat everybody else in the game, but you're not going to win. It's just not really possible. You know, like I hear people say a lot of times about, man, well, all the wealth in the country belongs to these certain families, and we should overthrow the country, and it's just not fair that all the money is up here to these certain families. And I'm like, okay, if you believe that, why do you continuously give them your money? You know what I mean? Like you whatever your income is, that's your wealth. So that's saying, all right, here go money, here go money, here go money. Now, what you do with that money is up to you. And if you saying, well, I don't believe that guy over there should have all my money, but you turn around and just give him all your money, like why don't you save some of your money? Why don't you use some of your money to benefit you? But you may not be thinking along those lines because that's not really how you're taught. You know, you're constantly getting ads on TV or you ride past, you see a billboard. Buy this, buy that. Hey, that car is good, but when you rather have this car, you got a, let's say you got a Altima. You got an Altima S. Yeah, that Altima S nice. But when you rather have the SV, and then you got the SV, but when you rather have the ATL version, oh man, you know what? That's the top of the line. You might as well just go ahead and jump up to that Maxima. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always something, always another level up, and you're just always, no matter how much money you're making, you're always just giving that money away. And it's like, look, keep some of that for you because now you're upset that, oh, they got all the money, but you continuously give them your money. I don't. I'm on a rant today, I guess.
So let's go on to the next question. Self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you think it's important?
Yes.
Even in this generation where we on computers and we have phones and all that stuff?
Self-defense is important, at least on a basic level. Because, I mean, you never know if you might get in a fist fight or somebody try to jump you or something like that, you know. So, at least on that basic level, it's of importance. It'd be great if you got some kind of training, but if you didn't, you know, you get in a couple of fights, you learn a couple of things, something. You know, you can't just be walking through life and you ain't never been in a fight before. Like it's
but
not.
There's people that do that.
And there are people that, there are people that do that, but it ain't really a good thing.
Why's that?
Because I mean, a lot of times people, if I've done something a lot more than you have, a lot of times I'll be able to read you. I can look at you and tell by your body language how you're reacting to me what you're feeling. Are you scared of me? And if you are scared of me, maybe I wasn't going to mess with you, but now I am going to mess with you because you're scared of me and it pulls this little something out of me. You know, and then, all right, I mess with you and I see, oh, you ain't going to do nothing. You know what? If he ain't going to do nothing, give me your wallet. Nice watch. Give me that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain behavior of prey makes certain predatory behavior manifest. So again, that's on the most basic level. I think what you're probably referring to is maybe like arming yourself on the level like say guns in your house because you have to protect yourself, stuff like that.
Well, that too, but no, what you're saying is really what I was trying to go with too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's important too, being able to
protect yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I grew up kind of like being told you shouldn't play with guns. Like we wasn't really allowed to play with guns, and the only toy that we had.
Sometimes play with guns. No,
no, I mean like you know how you have like toy BB guns or you have toys that look like guns. Right. We couldn't mess with any of that. So the only thing we had that I recall was Super Soakers, which looks absolutely nothing like a real gun. Color. Yeah, like it's the most. Yeah, it's a gun, but it's obviously not a real gun, right. You know. And yeah, that was all we were allowed to mess with. So I didn't really like guns, and I'm just gonna probably sound like the most ignorant statement. I'm sure that most people. I also thought that a gun was more cowardly because it didn't require any skill to use, which is not necessarily true. It
Well,
does
you're
require,
young, right?
but yeah,
Right.
anybody could just point and shoot, you know. Um, Also, I don't know. I grew up watching like a lot of martial arts movies and stuff like that. And you just like, no, I give me a sword and we'll go head to head, and you know, the best fighter will win. And a gun is not really exactly the same thing, you know. So I looked at it as almost like a cowardly approach. Now that I've gotten older, it's my views on that has kind of changed. I still think that a gun does not technically require skill to use, and in some ways, that makes it all the more dangerous. Because how many times you hear about some kid, oh man, let me show you my dad's gun, and then somebody ends up getting killed. You know what I'm saying? But on the other hand, I think if you own a gun, you should go to the range. You should train yourself to know how to use it and be able to use it under certain circumstances, so that if you need to defend yourself or defend your family, you have that option. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think.
You know, you said something that got me to thinking because I grew up a lot similar to that. Like, I spent time with my granddad, well, grandpa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he actually had pistols in the house, and he was into westerns a lot. But he did let me know that, hey, look, this is not for play. This is
For real.
yeah, right. And then like he'll give me replicas, and don't point it at people, right? Or when I used to watch Lone Ranger a lot, right? I'd get on the back of the chair and I'd be acting like a horse. And I'd pull out he bought me a little replica, it was a little silver, little plastic toy,
Little
right?
6-shooter.
And I shoot at whoever the bad guy that the Lone Ranger was shooting at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, he asked me, hey, hand me your weapon, let me see it, right? And I would point the barrel towards him. No, you don't point. Like little simple stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't teach me none of that stuff. I never went to the range. But, like you said, my mother, everybody else, except for grandpa, like he didn't let me play with his real weapons, you know. And I found it one time, but it had the gun lock on there and everything, and we had a nice stern talk after that, right?
Okay.
But the whole point was this, like you said, most people told me, hey, look, don't mess with this. Stay away from this. Like a hot stove, right?
Right.
And make the kid not want to learn to cook or not touch it. And that's when you said that, I was like, huh? Because when I went to the Marine Corps, which are gunfighters, you know what I'm saying? I failed to qualify the first time I shot in the range, and then I just always thought it was foreign. But there was other kids that was from like Tennessee or from the South or these other rural areas where their parents, they had 22s and they would go hunting and go shooting and all these different things. And they were just significantly better than us and than us kids from the inner city that never had it. And they were more comfortable. And later on I got a little better with it, and it's still things I want to work on, but now I look at it a certain way. I'm like, I'm not opposed to them. I still don't like them, but I guess my major concern now is that, one, so many people have them and they getting them illegally, right? They doing all types of craziness. They pass them. It's like, it's a serious threat. But I also feel as though self-defense is very important, because what happens when you don't have that on you, right? And I'm not telling somebody to try to do a gun disarm, because you probably look on YouTube and find out some harsh rallies about that, or do a Google search, right? 2-3 pages at least. But the whole point I'm getting at is, for me, the martial arts, it's not really, the self-defense is the added benefit, right?
Yes.
You go get food from the store, and you want to satisfy your stomach. If it tastes good, that's an added benefit.
Yeah.
If it's quick and prompt, that's an added benefit. If it's good service, that's an added benefit. So, self-defense, I think it's very important to be able to protect yourself. I think it gives you confidence, to walk around in a new city, downtown, at nighttime, right? In an area that you're not used to being at. Doesn't mean you should think that you can whoop everybody's ass, but be like, hey, look, You want these hands, you're not getting a flawless victory, right?
Yes.
So I think that's one big thing. I appreciate it for the confidence that it instills in people, right? So it gives you that proprioception, that body awareness, let you know, like, hey, look, I can handle myself.
Yes.
Would I go in the ring with Lomachenko or Mike Tyson? No. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
Now I want the pistol or what have you. But then again, just like you were saying, I do believe there's skills involved with marksmanship because, I mean, there are people that can hit super far targets, right? Ricochet bullets off of... I mean, it's remarkable things they can do with these weapons. And the main reason why I look at it that way, the Marine Corps, they had this term, and I never forget it, and I thought it was very smart. They call it a weapon of opportunity, right? It's not the pistol. They will say, if you disarmed and you're on the battlefield, get your bayonet, get a brick, right? Get a stick, use your elbow, right? Your fist is broke. It's like, a weapon of opportunity. Anything that's possible, it can become a tool that can help you survive.
Agreed.
And I think that is a smart and very creative way of looking at it. That one idea helps transfer over different things. This spoon, this plastic fork, this pen, the remote control, right? If all I got is this bottle, hopefully it's going to open up and splash his face and make him cover up or whatever, right? So that weapon of opportunity, I think it teaches you to be creative. It teaches you to not just think linearly, right? Be able to think up, down, left, right, and have a different perspective, a more comprehensive perspective. So in which I think that self-defense is definitely important.
It is. And also, I just want to reiterate that we couldn't play with guns, and as a kid, I really didn't think anything of it.
Right.
Because, you get raised and, just whatever. But being an adult, I 100% perfectly understand why. So many kids, as I said before, you're playing with guns, somebody gets killed. Or you're playing with a toy that looks like a gun, and then a kid get killed, So, yeah, I understand, like you're saying, like, certain people grew up in, like, a country area, and they went out hunting, and it was like, yeah, that's the benefit of being in that area. But in the city, you don't see a lot of that. And being black, you just, certain things you just have to be extra careful of. So, yeah,
And I'm with you. I got 2 kids and I have weapons and I don't want them playing with it, right? Got a safe and all these different other measures in order to prevent them from getting it, as well as the bad guy, which is really who I want to stop from getting it.
Right.
Now, my intent is like my daughter, right? She's about to be 8, around 9, 10. I'm not going to lie. Like, for me, I want to introduce it to her early. Am I going to make her shoot 1,000 rounds a day or any type of craziness like that? No. I want her to understand, hey, this thing does this. This is bad. Because that way, let's say she does go to one of her friends' houses and somebody's like, hey, you want to see my dad's weapon? I'm like, no, don't play with that. That's dangerous, right? And maybe I'm going to have that talk with her. Hey, go and get an adult involved, right? It's not snitching. It's like you said, it's keeping things safe because as a kid, you got into stuff that you wasn't supposed to get into and did stuff.
We've
right?
all done that,
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to, because it is dangerous. Mm-hmm. It is dangerous, and you don't know what's going on. So all I can do is improve my footprint by allowing her to go wherever she's going to go in the world and be a little bit safer.
I would agree with that. I think that's one of those things where it's either are you going to give knowledge or are you going to let them have ignorance? You know what I mean? Like, it's a topic. It only seems to happen on certain topics.
And it's a touchy topic.
It's a touchy topic.
That's why it's a touchy topic.
Right. People going to raise their kids how they want to. But it's like saying, okay, you're like, yeah, I'm going to, when she's a little older, I'm going to show her and teach her how to shoot and stuff. And it's like you were saying, okay, I'm going to give her knowledge. And you explain your reason why, and that makes total sense to me. I would definitely agree with that. Now, another person might choose the other option. Let them have ignorance. Don't tell them, this, that, whatever. And they're thinking of, well, I'm not telling them anything about guns. I'm not letting them interact anything with guns. So they should never have an issue with that. That is not always really. It's debatable which one is right. It depends on the situation.
It's a virtual reality thing, right?
So, but yeah, those are the options. Like that option is going to happen when it comes time for sex. Do you tell them about sex and educate them? All right, you want to be safe. You want to use protection. You want to watch out for this, and this. You want to make sure the person treats you well. Or I ain't saying nothing to them about sex, and then they come home pregnant. You know what I mean? Like it's those weird gray areas. You're not sure what to do,
and it's rough.
It's rough. And I'm not gonna make a judgment on a person one way or the other. You obviously try your best. What's your best thoughts in mind on that?
And see, that's another way that I'm looking at it too. Because I think we talked about this before. Maybe we didn't talk about this on camera, but the whole fact that I think everybody has things they look back in their past, like, man, my parents should have did this, or when I have children, I'm gonna do it this way, right? And I really just came to this realization a couple years ago, right? Because I'm still struggling with it, and it's more and more relevant now as a parent. Is that like, man, what she did her best. I mean, at that time, a young 20-something-year-old her.
Okay.
How much do you really that like you doing your best that just like
okay. So you're saying she didn't have the knowledge to do better? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, how we saying the ignorance versus the knowledge.
Right.
It's that person's choice, right? And they doing what they think is best. They doing the ignorance because, like, look, I don't want to be thinking about weapons. I don't want them going inside school shooting it up. I don't want them picking up stuff. And if it don't exist, I'm not gonna mess with it. The boogeyman. People have boogeyman fear, but until you see the real boogeyman, does it really fucking matter?
Yeah.
But it's a boogeyman theory for everything, right? Everybody got something they scared of. So what I'm saying is that at that point in time, given what she had, that environment, those experiences, that was the best that she could do. I'm pretty sure my children are gonna look back. My daddy was too rough on us. He was too tough. He was too disciplined. He was too this. He was too that. And and from the opposite end, like, well, you know what? They grew up in middle class or whatever, right? They went to good schools. They had education. They would do homework. You know how to read, right? Despite what people think about the country, you're in one of the better countries in the world, right? Yes. I mean, you could be somewhere else getting beat, being raped, being whatever, right? Yes. It's not saying it can't happen here, but given what we have at this point in time, just like it then with them and their parents and so on and so forth, every other generation, that's what I believe. Now, there's some people that will stump and beat the hell out of their kid, and it's like, all right, look, yeah, you could have did better. But for my situation and how I'm looking at it now, there's things I'm like, man, you should have did this differently. But it was me. It worked out for the other two kids, or it worked out for whoever else. And for who you are, who she was, that was the best they could do,
In my situation with my mother, because that's what she always says, I did the best that I could. I do not agree. Now I understand why you feel how you feel, and I can understand that perspective, but I just don't think that was the case in my case.
Okay.
I just feel like she kind of just did a half-ass job. Now, granted, she was a little younger, and she was trying to live life. You young, you still trying to, live your life. So, in that aspect, I somewhat understand. But I still feel like she just dropped the ball in a lot of areas. But
look at you now.
Look at me now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to have a lot of issues with that. It doesn't really bother me so much now. I just take it as those experiences help make me the person I am, you know. So, I mean, I guess in the end it worked out. But I just feel like when she tells me I did the best, I just feel like she's doing a cop out. It's like her not wanting to admit that she did something wrong. I did the best I could. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I was there when her friend told her that her son told her that same thing, that he felt that, oh, I didn't think you loved me, and you know you wasn't really there for me. Like, if you and your best friend, y'all ran together, y'all had kids around the same age, and you know you have issues with your kid, then she tells you her kid same. To me, that would be a clear indication. Maybe I fucked up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And it's the past. It is what it is. But it's nice to acknowledge, you know what? Maybe I dropped the ball. Maybe I could have been a bit better. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, it is what it is at this point, you know.
So let me ask you this, Boogie.
Uh-huh.
Now, we talked before about previous not employees, but bosses or leaders, or whatever, right? And they was like, no, we're going to do it this way. And you be like, all right, we can do it that way. You start, and you pull them to the side, like, look, if you do this, this is going to happen.
Right.
And you're doing it, one, because you kind of want to see them mess up, but two, who wants to go back and unfuck, you know what I'm saying, something where you could do it from the get-go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had one of those employers or the bosses to be like, I don't give a damn, we're going to do it this way? And
yes.
it still go on, right?
Yes. Had one just this past week, actually. So I know exactly what you mean, yes.
Here's the finish of that question. In your mind, you're right, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And in their mind, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they got some other directions from their superiors. Now, your knowledge is just as accurate because when the rubber meets the road, right? Like, you know better than them. Like, they're in the office, they're with these other people, you know better.
Mm-hmm.
When both of y'all are right, who's really wrong? And isn't that the case, though? And like we said earlier, some people just not going to listen to reason. They're not going to come around.
All right. I see what you're saying.
The separate realities thing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm breaking up again.
But let me ask you a question. If you raise a kid, and your kid, you don't have a good relationship with your kid.
Okay.
Your kid was kind of doing wonky in life. Isn't that somewhat of an indication that maybe you didn't do a great job as a parent? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like saying, all right, she feels how she feels and I feel how I feel. But I'm saying, if you look at the facts of what things are, maybe you could be like, well, your kid didn't come out doing great. Maybe you may have been wrong on some things. Just saying.
And I'm with you, because I don't think anybody is doing things 110% perfect all the time.
Right, of course.
Here's my I was watching this movie. You know, I got this infatuation with pimps, right? And I know, it's about to get crazy, I know. But anyway, so
I was not expecting you to say that.
So,
okay.
I watched this show, and it's about prostitutes, right? It's from like the 70s or 80s.
Okay.
And this lady, she had 4 kids. One of her kids ended up becoming a cross-dresser and a prostitute, right? But the other ones, not movie star, but like director, whatever. You know, they went on to live good lives or okay lives or whatever, right?
Okay.
It turned out right. But the one, and he's telling, well, you never saw this, or you did see this and you never acted upon this. What I'm getting at is, when does it become that person's responsibility? That's what they wanted to be, or that's who I can't say we're meant to be, but like, we all walk down our paths, and like, sometimes we veer off left, sometimes we veer off right, sometimes we go too far down the path. When it becomes no longer the person's the mother father, because right now your mother and father don't really guide you. You can go and ask questions, but
Right.
it's up to you, and it's been up to you even
Right.
from a youth. But they just trying to help you become better adults. Think and live that life so you can get those better experiences.
I would say it's one of those things that's
It's a rock,
not
right?
exactly fair. It's not exactly fair. You can't say, well, this is the left and this is the right. It's not going to be cut clean down the middle. So it's like saying, if your parents had you, it's their responsibility to raise you and mold you to make you a good, responsible person as far as society and as far as being able to stand on your own 2 feet, because that's what you're going to have to do at some point. All right, so they raise you from birth, and let's say, all right, so legally you're supposed to legally at 18, I think it is, you're a legal adult. All right, but you are probably going to start thinking of yourself as kind of grown about 15, 16.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say your mom's input is from birth to 18, but you take over from 16 on up. Now, from 16 to 18, you're still within her house. If you leave at 18, some people stay later, some people leave early or whatever. But you still kind of, y'all are kind of co-piloting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pilot,
yeah.
co-pilot. All right. So y'all are both steering the ship. That is your life. All right, that point. And then at some point you're gonna leave the nest, and then it's totally on you. Now, if the parent makes mistakes between birth and 18, it sucks, and you want them to try to fix that or do something about it. After 18, it's your responsibility. That's the part that I say is not fair. If I gotta fix things that I feel my parents kind of screwed up after 18, that's unfortunately just the reality of the situation. I gotta fix it. There's no point in me saying, well, I'm screwed up because you didn't do your job right, which might be true, but it's still my responsibility to fix it. I got no choice. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to fix itself. They can't really fix it for me. I have to do it. So that's why I say it's not exactly fair, but that's just sort of the situation. And at that point, you're an adult. You're responsible for yourself. Even if somebody may have screwed you over, like some people live with, maybe they got molested, or maybe they got beat, or maybe their parents are alcoholics, or any number of things.
Right,
yeah, any number of things. And those things are unfortunate and they suck. And some things are best, some things are better or worse than others. But when you become an adult, unfortunately, it becomes your responsibility to fix those problems. And I think you have to, because if you do not address them, things tend to go bad. But unfortunately, I just think that's the reality of the situation. Like I said, it's not exactly fair, but it just sort of is. It's like saying, well, ain't nobody else gonna fix it. A lot of times, can't nobody else fix it. You don't really have a choice unless you're just willing to live the rest of your life in that situation, which a lot of people do, unfortunately. Because it's easy. I can just blame this person now. Well, I would be great in life and I would be massively successful had my parents not done this thing when I was a kid.
That story was just talking about the people that somebody's always against them.
Right. So I mean, like I said, a lot of people do. You can't do that. It's not gonna work out well for you. It's certainly not gonna work out your best. You're just carrying a lot of dead weight.
So this is the last one, and the only reason I'm bringing this up, I want us to have both sides of the argument. I mean, this is good because usually I think people want to see that. Like, not only do we agree, but we have different viewpoints, just like you might have different viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
What about this? Billy's mom, right? And her, by her standards, she's doing the best she can, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a single mom, whatever, right? She's doing the best with what she's got.
Right.
But Billy was getting bullied on by people at school, right, or whatever, and goes there and does something crazy on the play yard, right? Ends up in jail forever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still mama's responsibility? Even though she tell him, no, you don't put your hands on nobody. Maybe she did tell him, somebody put their hands on you, you put your hands back on them.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what they're seeing inside the lunchroom, the classroom, don't walk in the hall. I'm not justifying bullying. What I'm bringing it up like, sometimes it's your environment. Maybe those other kids is being bullied or being hurt at home, and they using that as an outlet on the week, the prey and the predator you was talking about earlier.
Right.
And this one getting at like, it's a whole bunch of variables. Right?
It is, and on a case like that, it's really hard to say one way or the other because you don't know the details exactly what happened. I don't know.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that might be one of those instances where it's just not fair. Whose fault was it? Don't know. I mean, you, in one sense, you want to say it wasn't the kid's fault because the kid was a kid and you don't know what the kid was told. Maybe he was told that's how you should react in that situation. Or maybe his environment showed him that's how you should react in that situation.
Or maybe it was just a limit.
Or maybe it was just a bad day. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong shit went down. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to say.
So, final question before we wrap up. So you talked about this a couple times about like letting the past be the past, or working through what you're working with, or working with what you're working with was working through whatever it is, right? Give me and our viewers two, three tips on how to, work with what we got. Get past, maybe, because we all got something in our past, right? How can we get past that?
Therapy, I think, is always great. Now, I've never done it personally.
Talk therapy?
Yeah,
you do art, so that's form of therapy.
Yes, all right. So I do art.
I dance,
although I don't. Art, for me, isn't that form of therapy, but art can be a form of therapy. Talking to somebody can be, go on the couch and talk to a psychiatrist. That can be helpful. And now that I'm thinking about it, I did do that once because it was mandatory for my job.
There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that because I vastly enjoyed the experience. I would have continued going to that person, but unfortunately the time and stuff. It was not really, I couldn't really do it, but I really enjoyed that. But writing can help. Writing things out. I found writing can be vastly powerful. I didn't realize how powerful that could be. Sometimes talking it over with friends or a significant other can help you work out things. Like my wife helped me work out a lot in terms of my mother. Our relationship would not be what it is without my wife. So those are just off the top of my head. Those are some ways that I could think of. But I do think that you have to confront it and release it in some form or fashion. If you do it with other people or you do it privately, whatever, I think you have to acknowledge it and come to terms with it in some shape, form, or fashion. That's me.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think it's gonna. If you don't address it, it's never gonna go away. You're never gonna get any kind of acknowledgement from it. What do you think?
I'm going to take the more generalized version of therapy. Because, I think that was a good idea. Like, you draw, you do art, you do paint, right? You sing, dancing, right? You do martial arts. Because, once again, they call it therapy, but it's also called movement meditation as well. Yes. Like, it's... The rest of the world goes away for a little moment while you're doing some cooking, right? You chopping the onions, right? Or you want to prepare a meal for your significant other for a special event, or you got people coming over, right? And you really want to set it up. Maybe you got a podcast, something like that going on, but are you really listening to that stuff that they talking about? Or are you really, I'm gonna put my foot in this. So I think that immersing yourself into something, and I'm not saying it in a way in order to cover it up or bury stuff. Because for some people, I think talk therapy is good, but for some people, I've done talk therapy, but I'm of the belief that everything and anything is, I believe in that innate health, right? You can resolve it or create some sort of a resolution or a way to cope with it for yourself. Now, some people are going to use substances and other. I'm talking about doing it in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like, all right, look, me and my significant other get into it because we're in the house too much. All right, you know what? I'm about to get out here and I'm about to go join a bike club, whatever, right? So find something that you can get yourself into that it takes away from that, right? Or allows you to allow those thoughts not to. It's not that they're not going to be there, but if you pedaling the bike and you trying to beat Freddie, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that takes away a lot of that stuff.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Having a positive outlet, a therapeutic outlet,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think another thing is, you mentioned it earlier, if it's, because it could be a situation that's not so much in your past, it could be something you're going through.
True.
Trying to remove yourself and divorce yourself from that situation. Now, sometimes you can't. The mechanics, right? Mm-hmm. That's why he was trying to get an application that he was like, look, maybe he was at that point, look, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, hit this guy with a wrench. It's like, you know, or whatever. So, look, here's my way of divorcing myself from the situation.
Yes.
Let me find a new place of employment where I can get treated with the respect that you was talking
Yes.
about, right? So, now, the only thing with that is sometimes it's just not the case, right? Because with kids, I can say that I'm pretty sure I'm like, man, here we go again with the discipline. Whereas I may think from the same, like, man, come on now, we should be able to get this by now. Let's talk about this, right? Mm-hmm. So finding your outlet, your therapeutic outlet, divorce yourself from situations as best you can, right? And I think another great way would be I guess I will go back to the meditation, and this is what I mean by, I'm not saying it is to blank the mind. While there are some people, I don't know which style it is, Tibetan or who it is, but there's different ways of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Some people, they just observe the ideas. Now some people kick it around, man, I got this problem, my back against the wall, I'm going to go into, give me a piece of pen and paper, I'm going to figure this out, right? All right, this was going to happen if I do that. So maybe you have to go inside your own mind, but it's going to be hard because like we said earlier, people don't want to think. People want that microwave answer, right? Yes. I want it to be a one and done and I want it done for me, right? Instead of, a lot of times it's just not the case. That's not how things work out. So a therapeutic outlet. Second was to divorce yourself from the situation as best you can, right? If it's toxic people, toxic leadership, yeah, I'm going to fill out this application. I'm bringing this home to my family. Now I'm messing up their life, right? Because of what's going on at work or what's... So, boom. And then finally... man, how did it just escape me that quick? Whatever I just said, you can rewind it back and what I just said.
I would also like to say that when you're working these things out, if you're talking about something in the past or even something currently, when you're working things out therapeutically or you're writing or whatever it is you're doing, it is important to acknowledge your own fault in things as well. Like, a lot of people look at it like, well, this person ruined my life, and then this person ruined my life, and then this person ruined my life. And it's like, wait a minute, all those people ruin your life? Perhaps you may have played some role in this, you know. Like, you might see...
Questioning things again.
Yes, questioning things. You know, you can't just look at it and be like, well, I'm always right. Because who's always right? Nobody's always right. So perhaps looking at your own place in the whole thing as well. Right. Yeah, you know, and acknowledging, all right, yeah, that person messed up. Also acknowledging, you know what, I messed up here too. So, you know, that, I think you need that as well. You know, being self-aware is fast and important.
It is
vastly important. Um, I know you said that was the last topic, but it is kind of one other thing I wanted to kind of share that it shouldn't take long. So, my sibling situation is kind of different than most people. Like I kind of look at myself as an only child for most of my life because my father had different kids, but we kind of didn't grow up together. And then my mother had another child like almost 20 years after she had me. So like I grew up kind of thinking of myself as the only child. Um, so a couple weeks ago, I had my two little cousins and their brothers, and they're together, and I'm watching them go back and forth at each other, and I'm like, man, y'all always like that. He's like, yeah, we always like this. This is back and forth at each other. All right, so 2 weeks ago, I go to meet a brother that I had never met before. I had met one, but I hadn't met the other, and I noticed the same behavior. They grew up together, and they're obviously close, but back and forth at each other. I was sitting there just like, wow, this is interesting, And then I'm looking, and I'm like trying to find similarities, and I noticed like them, myself, and my other brother. We're all sort of creative types, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, so genes are just interesting. It's sort of like I my mother's generation, which I like to think of as first generation because they're one over us. Um, my mother, they have like different siblings. I don't know how many is the total. It's like maybe six,
right.
7. All right, it's back in the time when people had big families. Right. So what always baffled me was I would look at them and be like, how is this possible? No two of you are alike. I don't like it just baffled me. I'm like, I don't understand how y'all all grew up in the same house. Y'all all brothers and sisters, and ain't none of y'all alike, And I'm looking at my brothers, and I'm just like, genetics. Like, you can have the same parents, but one person might get one personality, and then this person might get another personality, and this person might get another personality, and it's just amazing to me. Like I didn't think that's how it worked. Like looking at movies, you see two brothers, and either you saw a sibling rivalry or they were really close, but you didn't see like a vast difference in personality like that. I mean, you yourself, you got two sisters. Are y'all personalities different?
Well, I don't buy into the whole personality theory though.
Okay.
So I think it's about the environment. Like, are we similar? No, because they closer and more family orientated.
But y'all was raised in the same environment.
Yes and no. I mean, think about this. As young ladies, my mom was a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sent to live with my granddad because she didn't know how to raise a young man. I was I mean, it was a whole bunch of other stuff going on.
Other factors.
I had a totally different environment than them. I would come back maybe a couple nights out the week, but I was really, my granddad really raised me. Like it's kind of different, yeah. And then not only that, think about the other experience I had. They were never into fighting the martial arts and none of that stuff, right? So I'm big on the environment thing. Like I think that's
you always hear the phrase of nature versus nurture. I agree. I think it's both. I think because I always thought it was that phrase meant which one wins. Are you nature, which is the environment you're born into and how it influences you, or are you nurture, how your parents raised you? Now I think it's nature is going to have its influence, and your parents and your genes are going to have their influence, and it's not predominantly one or the other. It's both. So it's just interesting to me. Like, all right, if it's both, and then you factor in individual factors, is all right, one's man and one's girl. I'm sorry, one's boy, one's girl. One's older, one's younger. One's middle child. One's the baby. Like it's just different. Yeah, right. A lot of variables. But it's just the different things you get in the end is just kind of amazing to me. I'm like, wow, like it's like I grew up with a lot of cousins and we're all pretty close and everything. And yet when you see us when we're all grown, we're all different. Like the same thing. It's just like this just how does this happen? You know, I don't really maybe I'm not explaining it well. It's just it baffles me how things just evolve. How everybody evolves to their own person, their own, you know, they're all their own little being, however you want to look at it, you know. And it's just like you just wonder like how does that happen? Like what are the factors? What are the little idiosyncrasies, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't think I'm explaining it very well, but it was just an observation I made. I was just like, oh, okay. I wonder what your take on it is. So you definitely say it's just environment. You don't go with nature.
I think it's a whole bunch of things. I think there are no two people alike. So I mean, even if you grew up inside the same house. Mm-hmm. There have been plenty of assassins. People did crazy stuff in their families or to the world and society, right? But the other kids would be okay. Or maybe they was a single child, but the mother and father never showed those I think it's ultimately based on the person. Because somebody could be raped, could be sent into a human trafficking thing and finally escape, right?
True.
And still not do bad to the world. They could go back and do good. It could be somebody with a whole bunch of... I think it's based on the person. Like, definitely the stuff that you take in. We got this social media and television and all this other stuff. But it's other people like, nah, that don't. And I'm like, I think of Alexander, the movie Alexander. He had this line. He was, well, why did this and that happen? He was asking about the gods, right? Hercules and Titans and all this. He was like, who knows these things? I think I enjoy this conversation because I think when you say, some of that is possible. It's true because I mean, my two younger sisters are very similar, but I'm completely not. Oh, come on over for this event. Nah, I'm good. Hey, we don't stop over. Don't stop at my house without calling beforehand and me agreeing. And the day at this time, you 5 minutes, 10 minutes late. I'm not. I don't. And I look out there, I see your car. And I'm the weirdo. And that's okay. I understand why.
Right, I understand,
you know, like,
yeah.
So, I think it's the person. You know, they think I'm weird, just like, hey, some people out there, But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's the person.
What causes it? Wow.
Yeah, but there's just so many different variables that, you know, you can't really break it down. But it's just fascinating that, think about it like you making cake. You are on these flour, milk, sugar, whatever, you know. And then out of those ingredients, all right, I get a big bowl, I mix all those ingredients. And then let's say there's the moisture in the air, there's how hot it is.
Left it in all that, long, then you take it out in time, right?
Now, but out of all that put together, I get 3 completely different things. You know, that is what fascinates me. I'm like, it's all the same source material. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fascinating to me, and maybe that's just my own little weird thing, you know. But I'm just like, it's all the same source material, but you're getting different stuff, you know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I mean, that's probably something I get because, like I said, I used to not having siblings. So, like, when I look at other people and their siblings, you wonder. You're looking from a place of wonder because I can't really relate on that certain level, you know.
That makes sense, man.
Yeah. But all right, that's pretty much it.
Sure.
Thank you guys for joining us again for the 5th episode. We hope you enjoy. As always, subscribe, like, share. You know, definitely share. Comment. We love to hear from. And did you know we got like 2 comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 2 comments. So please feel free to share, comment, and everything. And
thanks for that. We appreciate that.
yes, we definitely appreciate that. We're hoping to build a little fan audience. We
want to talk about the stuff that you guys want to talk about. I mean, if you commenting, you find some enjoyment.
As you can see, we love to talk.
So what is that is it some things that you want us to discuss? Let us know. We'd love to hear.
Yes. All right. Until next time, enjoy your